I'm going to show you two clips from two different action movies, and I want you to decide which one is better. If you thought the clip from Taken was better, then I don't know what to do with you. John Wick is a hugely popular franchise that has some of the best action and fight scenes I've ever seen. We could talk all day about how John Wick is lit and choreographed and shot and edited, but first we need to identify the deeper issue here. Why are some movies great and other movies terrible? Obviously, there's a level of subjectivity here. People like different things, filmmakers have different visions. But what about the times when an otherwise great filmmaker makes a train wreck? Or when they publicly disown their own films? It feels like great filmmaking is more than just being creative. If we want to understand and engage with films, we need to understand the process and what goes into them. Let's listen to Chad Stahelski, the director of the John Wick franchise, give us a little insight on the subject, talking about action films.
People don't realize it's not about just putting it on action, it's how to budget it. Budget and scheduling, like how to manage money, how to manage time. So that became a big deal with us. We became very, very good at that. And that helped us go into our second. So now we control our budgets when we're second year directors. So I knew how long to have the Technocrane, where to have the 3 camera crews as opposed to 2 camera crews, where to spend money and where not. And we took that into first unit, and that's how we did the first John Wick, of being incredibly creative on screen, but even being, I think the bigger challenge of being off screen and still delivering a decent action movie, training the cast the way we did, and shooting it in record time.
I think this statement is a game changer. It's so easy to talk about creativity and vision, but what Stahelski is most passionate about is budgeting and scheduling. He elaborates.
Having seen the flaws in other projects throughout the years, it's really logistics and communication and hiring the right people. Whereas some directors stay very isolated from the stunt team and they keep their crews isolated. The stunt guys do their thing, the camera. A lot of times, most people don't realize when you walk onto a set and there's an action sequence, the director has seen a stunt rehearsal but never really walked through. The actors have been rehearsing. The cameramen have never seen the rehearsals. They're shooting on the day. The cinematographer has never seen. He's trying to light for the first time. My cinematographer and my cameraman are part of the stunt rehearsals 3-4 months out. My costumer is there, my production design, they've all part of the stunt team. Like I run a super mandatorily cohesive crew where everybody has to be in everybody else's business. So the production designer knows right off the bat what kind of action I'm doing. So he understands what height the ceilings have to be, what I'm looking for in location. The cinematographer has seen how much we're gonna move around. He knows what the color palette, he knows about the knives, so he has to light a certain way. So he knows I'm shooting wide, so he can't push the lights in. Like everybody's on board. That makes it much, 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 much easier.
Everything he's talking about is done in pre-production. As a passive film watcher, it's easy to disregard prep, but we don't disregard the effects of prep. Before we talk about craft, we have to talk about prep, because we can't talk about whether a director should cut somewhere if they don't get the coverage needed. You can't see the intent behind a camera move when the cameraman showed up on the day and was winging it. You could have the exact same crew working on 2 different projects, and you can see which one had prep and which one didn't. The biggest difference we can see when we look at these good and bad films side by side is how cohesive they are. One department could be really good, or even all departments could be really good, but without the communication that happens before shooting, each department hinders each other instead of helping. John Wick is awesome and fun. It's good because it's choreographed and shot and edited super well. But it was able to do those things because the filmmakers sat down beforehand and put in the work and the planning to make that possible. The more you keep this in mind while watching movies, the more apparent it'll become.
You have to be very communicative, you have to be very upfront, and you have to get ready to prep and give yourself the lead time to figure stuff out. Because you're absolutely right. All the great ideas in the world don't mean anything if you can't bring them to fruition.